So, good afternoon. My name is Heinrich Heinrichs from Africrops, and I'm here with my colleague Meinolf Cooper. And he said that I should do the presentation because I used to be a teacher many years ago. But of course, the present for this presentation I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but we have some points. How did Africrops start? It was actually, I think we are the living proof that you don't have to be 20 to be a startup, and you don't have to be high-tech, but rather agriculture. And both can be done in the context of startup and also entrepreneurship. It all started when Meinolf and myself, we have been more than 20 years in the development work. And we were in the same health program in Tanzania, where he did consultancy services to the Ministry of Health and myself to the Ministry of Education. And we sat together at his place outside with a sundowner, and people who have been in Tanzania might know a Kili Baridi, which is a cold beer from Kilimanjaro. And there we talked about how can the collaboration with Africa be made more sustainable. Because people in Tanzania or other African countries, they have seen them coming and going. Projects 3 years, sometimes maybe 5 years or less, and everybody knows how it works, but we have to look at sustainability. Because of Meinolf has quite some experience in trade already between African countries and Germany, we came to the conclusion it has to be trade instead of aid. That was our first mission statement, so to speak. And the next was, we always talk about what does Africa need. And the picture is then that we have something to give to African countries. And so we chose to turn it around and ask it the other way around. What does Africa have that the world needs? And then the dynamic started. There were some people from the development side who would say, how can you ask that? We have to help. And we said, no, we have been so long on this continent in different African countries that we know that this continent has a lot to give, and not only diamonds and ores or something like that, but much more. We see an entrepreneurial feeling in many African countries, and it came up at different speakers before who said we need the right environment. Actually, an environment where young people can grow on. And so Africrops started. But now we had to think about where can we start with? What does Africa have that the world needs? And we found out there's a plant called moringa. And moringa, there's a lot known about this plant. It is the most nutritious plant that exists actually on the planet. And I was very critical on this with my biochemical background. And indeed, it is the case. And many organizations have found out, yes, this can also solve the problem of malnutrition in many different African countries. And at the same time, we saw that here in Germany, and also I should say in the northern hemisphere, there was a hype regarding green smoothies, a hype on veganism. And so there was a target group. So I think what happened, what we achieved at that part is to combine business with developmental content. I would put it that way. Now, that led to the situation that there was a growing interest from the economic world, who also asked us, yeah, well, we would also like to to do something on the African continent. And how can we do that? There are many misconceptions. You would hear questions like, what do you think? Is Africa the new China? Think about this question. That shows how much people know about African people. But we could also see it from the other way around. What do African people actually know from us? And so through a trade, we saw that, and we also, when we advertise that and show our approach, what does Africa need, what does Africa have that the world needs, we get into discussion. And so this is now the advertisement, 5 minutes. We could show that there are premium products from the African continent that you can't grow here, but they are needed here, and there's a growing interest in it. They are very special. We see that there's a demand, especially in the world of sportive people, marathon runners. They benefit tremendously from this nutritional high products. At the same time, it becomes interesting to the growers or to the countries of origin. And so, as a intended side effect, I should say, local markets also develop. So that means the people that we work with, now come to the next step, those are African entrepreneurs. For example, in Tanzania, 2 young men who decided to go into the baobab business. And so they employed now a number of people, and together with an organic certification, which ensures that the product is on a very high quality, they could already sell quite substantial amounts of baobab. The same is also for moringa, of course. Yes. So what we can see is to produce high quality products, it needs capacity. And now I'm at the next point. Everybody talks about investment. And we are strongly about it to say, don't invest in a product, invest into the people, which is very important. And I would like to repeat that. Invest into the people. And investing in people means providing structures, providing an environment on which young people can grow, providing markets. And to combine that all, then we realized then more and more ideas came from our African partners. For example, in Namibia, we got a lot of interest from the government as a company to include capacity building measures into the vocational training system. And then it becomes sustainable. Then it is not a training within a company, but it is training that is in the curriculum of the country. That makes it sustainable and viable. At the same time, you train people who will make good money, when they are trained. So, not training for the sake of training, but training for the sake of making a living. And that makes it for, especially for young people with whom we work, very attractive. Investment. Professor Faltin, he said it quite clearly. Probably people know him. He's here in Berlin supporting young entrepreneurs, and he wrote a book that says, first brain and then capital. So first the ideas, and then fill it with capital. So to speak, make capital the grease to make things flowing. And what we experience is once things start, what does not exist is especially for small companies in the SME field, that you can't have things like I get the product today and I pay in 3 months. That's not possible. But rather, I pay the product 3 months in advance, and in half a year I will get the product. This is possible to a certain extent, but when it extends, and that's what we want, then of course you need also sources to have the grease to make it flowing. The other part I already mentioned is the capacity building part. Of course, as a company, you are interested to train your own people and the people of your partners always to get a premium product, to make it marketable. And there we also realized, well, the more grease we actually have, the more expertise we can transfer. And if I say we, it is I don't mean the members of our German partners also, but more and more our partners in Tanzania, Namibia, and other a growing number of African countries, where we have now expertise, and we can send that expertise to another country. So we have a real, how should I say, a real grown South-South connection, yeah? And we saw via business, as we call it, business on eye level, we could see that that it grew within itself. Regarding the gender issue, I think I should also mention women are very strong on that, but not only. On the panel that was here before, I would actually also say it is about the young people. It is about the young people. We always have it in the back of our minds that that women have very often to go some extra miles. We realize that, but it is the young people who need the support, and then there it works. So our partners with whom we work together, as you can see already, if we look at the value chain, we are involved from A to Z, from the very farmer, so to speak, until the tins that are now sold in Rewe. And so we have the whole, that was another advertisement. And so we have the whole chain. Of course, we have to develop our partner, or we have to develop together, that in the end, the whole value chain, until we have these tins, filled tins, should be produced in the country of origin. At the same time, we have to look at quality. And the whole thing would not work if there are no customers who would buy it. So the whole chain will be developed step by step, and we can already see that the more the partners get involved, the more is possible to extend the value chain. But it's a long-term goal. But again, the main thing is don't ask what Africa needs, but ask what Africa has that the world needs. And this is also with which we challenge our African partners, and they also challenge us. And then we don't have a situation where we have to give something and there's another one who receives, but it's mutual. It's mutual. And that, I think, makes it viable, sustainable, and successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.